Hello and welcome to the third episode of Chromebook News. It was just over a year from now when Lenovo announced it was going to release a Chrome OS tablet. So when you think of a tablet, you're thinking of an actual tablet, like an Android tablet. But this is a tablet where there's a detachable keyboard that you can connect and then it becomes a fully fledged Chromebook. I was really excited about this news because it was the first true device of this type since the Pixel Slate. The Pixel Slate wasn't a success, unfortunately. Now, that was not down to the hardware because the hardware is excellent. I've got one and it's great. However, the problem back then was that Chrome OS just was not ready for tablets. And it made me write an article about, will this mean that we'll start seeing future Chrome OS tablets in the future? And I'll put a link to that article below if you want to have a read. The good news is a year on and we are getting a brand new Chromebook detachable, and that is from Asus, and it's the Asus CM3000. I've had a look at the specs. I found the specs from Chromebook an article, and they had a link to a page on Asus which shows the specs. It's got some images as well, and I wrote a blog post about that which I'll put below as well so you can have a look. And it looks like we're not far off from seeing the launch of this new Chrome OS tablet stroke detachable Chromebook stroke 2-in-1 hybrid. This is the problem. This is the only problem I've got at the moment, is what do we call these devices? Because it can get very confusing. For Chromebook enthusiasts, it's fine. I think they'd know the difference. But for people who are just looking for a Chromebook, they've heard about it, they want one, but they're not sure which one to get. What do we call these devices? Because when you consider a hybrid Chromebook, that's understandable to people who are interested in it and in the Chromebook. But what do we call a Chrome OS tablet that's also got a detachable keyboard? Because a Chrome OS tablet, people might think, oh, well, it's just a tablet. So it's what it's going to be called in the future. Asus has gone with a detachable Chromebook, which sounds like a good idea. What's important is what the Asus CM3000 will be offering. Now I've looked, and it's very similar to the Lenovo IdeaBank Chromebook Duet in the sense of the specs are not anything to write home about. They are budget specs when it comes to the internals. It's a MediaTek processor, it's 4GB of RAM, and you can choose between 64GB of storage or 128GB of storage. So it's very similar to what you got with the Chromebook Duet. I don't think that's a bad thing, because when you consider that Chrome OS tablets or detachable Chromebooks, whatever you want to call them, are relatively new, at the moment it would be a bit of a risk to bring one out with high specs, because would it sell? Possibly it would for Chromebook enthusiasts, but you've got to think about the big market at the moment, and until we get more of these products out there, I think it's a really good move not to go high or medium spec at the moment. If this one's successful, and I have no doubt that it won't be, I think it will be really successful, then that's two Chrome OS tablets, detachable Chromebooks released in the last year. And I think once we get to that stage, then we can start looking at, or hopefully manufacturers will start looking at offering them with better specs. So I don't think it's a bad move, because I have seen comments from people saying it's okay, but it's the same sort of specs, and I get that, but I do think it's the right move. And you've also got to remember, they are businesses after all. Asus have released this to compete with the Chromebook Duet from Lenovo. So that if they gave out a higher spec Chromebook, people would be like, well, why is this £300 more? So it's that, and it's maybe to get away from that issue. The difference though is the build quality. I do think the build quality is better. The good thing, which I really like, is you've got the stand, and the keyboard attaches magnetically just like the Lenovo does, but the stand can be used in either landscape mode or portrait mode, which I think is a really good thing, because if you read digital magazines, for example, they all work in portrait mode, and that means I read them with my Pixel Slate. It means I have to hold my slate, and a slate's not as light as a magazine, so it's not super comfortable, or you have to put it on the edge of your sofa, or you have to put it flat on a desk, so you're having to look down. So having an actual stand that can be used in portrait mode and landscape mode is really good, because you could have it sitting on your desk and you could be flipping through it. So I do really like that. It's got a slightly bigger display as well. Instead of 10.1 inch, I think the Chromebook Duet is, this is 10.5 inch. It's slightly wider, That means that the keyboard should hopefully be bigger as well. From the looks of it, it does look like it will be, because I had heard new reports that with the Duet, although it was great, it is a great Chromebook for what you're getting for the price, the keyboard was a bit cramped. For me, that wouldn't be suitable because I need to be able to something that I can type on fast with. So hopefully the Asus CM3000, that will fix that as well. It does look like it's a slightly better build quality, mainly because of the fact that they've thought about the stand and stuff like that. So I'm really interested to see what happens when that is released. There's no real news at when it will be released yet. It looks like it's going to be around March time, hopefully, maybe not. I'm not 100% certain. I would assume it's going to be released in the USA first, and then hopefully it will be shortly released after that in the UK. About Chromebooks, I've done an interesting article about expensive Chromebooks and whether they are worth it. This is something that everybody gets involved in this conversation. And I agree with what is put in about Chromebooks. There's still people who think that the Chromebooks should all be about being cheap, and yes, of course, we should have budget Chromebooks, but we shouldn't just be having budget Chromebooks. It's correct that we're now getting medium spec Chromebooks, and it's correct that we're now getting high spec Chromebooks. The Chromebook has increased massively in the last couple of years in terms of sales. Not everybody wants a budget Chromebook. Yes, it would be wrong if we stopped seeing budget Chromebooks being released, but we need medium spec Chromebooks and we need higher spec Chromebooks. And this will be even more the case when Linux, at the moment, still in beta, but much better than it was. When that's finally resolved, if it is, you'll need all this spec from your Chromebook. So yes, read that article. I've linked it below. It's quite interesting. Something else I've been really happy to see this week, and I've written an article about it, and I'll put a link below to that article, is that Google is now encouraging websites to use web authentication. This is a really good move because at the moment it's really frustrating working with passwords. Even if you have a situation where you always change your passwords, but there's something similar to an extent, so you'll always know what it will be when you visit that specific website. The problem is more and more websites are changing their own password rules. So for example, if you always put an @ in your passwords in a certain area, when you go to a website you've not used for a long time, you go to do that and it doesn't work, then you can't log into that account. Now the most likely reason is, if you do that for example, is because that specific website had different password rules, so you had to do something different. And it's one of my annoying things about the internet right now, and this is something Google is well aware of, which is fantastic news. So the new web authentication, what that does, and it's only a few websites at the moment that is using it. This is on your Chromebook, and it will ask you whether you want to, when you log in to an account, it will ask you whether in the future you want to do web authentication. And what that means is, when you next log into that specific website, to log in, all you would need to do is to use your fingerprint if your Chromebook has a fingerprint scanner, or your PIN. So it's not set up for your password, which is good, that's what you'd want it to be, but it is your PIN. If you need to know how to set up a PIN on your Chromebook, I'll link a video below so you can do that. Once you've set up a PIN, what that means is, the good thing about setting up a PIN on your Chromebook is you're not having to use your password. So every time you log in, you just type in your PIN to log in. When you go to visit one of these websites that uses this technology, if you don't have a fingerprint scanner, you can simply enter your PIN. Now, Google don't share this PIN with the website, but even with that being said, there's always going to be a nagging concern in the back of your mind that, okay, they might not share it, but what about if hackers get it and then they can... And yes, I totally understand that, certainly when it comes to like your banking websites, for example. So you wouldn't want to share your password. So if you went to one of these websites and had to use your password, that would be a bit, I'm not sure. I know they say they don't share it. What about if there's a bug and somehow some hackers get my password? So totally get that. So using the PIN is much better, because your PIN is only going to give you access to that specific Chromebook that you set it up on. It's not going to link to anything else. So if you do use it, obviously don't use a PIN that you use elsewhere. For example, for your bank machine card, don't use a PIN that anyone's going to know what it is. So if the worst case scenario happens and somehow your PIN, when you use it on one of these websites to authorize who you are, it's intercepted, if that PIN is just for that Chromebook, it means nothing to them. They can't log into your Chromebook with that PIN. And they can't log into your Google account with that PIN. They can obviously log into your Chromebook, but they're not going to have access to your Chromebook. But they wouldn't be able to log into your Google account. So that's really good. And if you want to know more, have a look at the article below. I was very happy to come across this article from Android Police, and it's all to do with the calendar. Now, if you've used Chromebooks for a while, you will know that it's really frustrating that when you click on the bottom right hand corner of your desktop, yes, it shows you the date, today's date, but it doesn't show you a month calendar view, and that can be really frustrating. You can obviously link your Google Calendar to your icon tray at the bottom, and if you want to know how to do that, I've linked a video below, but it would still be better to have it built into Chrome OS. And what Android Police has found is it looks like that is going to be coming very shortly to the Chromebook. This is great news. I can't wait for this to be in place. I can't wait until the day where you can click down on the time and you've got a full month there. It's perfect. Hopefully it will sync with your Google Calendar if you wanted to as well, so you can see when you've got birthdays or important events coming up. If you want to know more, I've linked to the Android Police article below. Okay, so the next subject I'm going to talk about is Chromebooks and viruses. As you can see, I've got a little smirk going on because I know this is always something that everybody has such a different opinion on. My personal opinion is that you can't get a virus on a Chromebook. There's other people who are going to be saying, of course you can, that's crazy. I don't think it's that crazy. If you want to know why I don't think you'll get a virus on a Chromebook, I've linked below a video that I made a while ago, and it explains every reason why you just don't get viruses on Chromebooks. However, there are a lot of websites that are saying that you can get malware. So they're suggesting that you buy antivirus software. I'm going to say straight away, I don't suggest you go out there and buy antivirus software. First of all, let's look at malware. It is true that Chrome extensions, if you download an extension that has malware, then yes, that could be an issue. But it's only going to be an issue for that individual browser that you've got open. It can't talk to any other browsers that you've got open because the sandboxing that goes on. If you want to know what I mean by sandboxing, as I said, just re-watch that video I made previously, which I've linked below. So that's where they're coming from. They're saying because you could have extensions with malware, yes you could, but would it give you a problem overall in the long term? I don't think it would. It's also to do with Android apps. They're saying you can download malicious Android apps that can have malware. Okay, you could do, but because Android apps are sandboxed, again, there's not much they can actually do. So I'm very dubious about this idea that people say that you need antivirus software. Personally, if I'm being really cynical, I think these websites are just saying it because when you go onto these websites, they've then got lots of links to these antivirus software. Most of them you have to pay for, and I can bet you right now there'll be affiliate links attached to them. Nothing wrong with affiliate links, but as long as you're promoting something that people actually need, I personally don't think you need antivirus software for your Chromebook. I'm not saying that you can't have an issue with malware, but what I'm saying, because of the sandboxing, where is that going to, what's that going to actually do? The key to this is always make sure you trust the extensions in your Chrome browser. I've said previously, as far as I'm concerned, that's the biggest risk when it comes to issues around viruses or malware on your Chromebook. It's the extensions that you use. So make sure you trust the extensions on your Chrome browser. If you're unsure, have a look at your extensions and check, because you'll be quite surprised. There may be a few there you've used for ages and you just left them lying around. You really need to go and have a look to see what they are. The other one is with Android apps as well. Google does a great job of checking Android apps for malware, but let's be honest, there's millions of Android apps out there, so there could be a possibility that one slips through the net. So again, be careful about what you're downloading from the Android App Store. If you do download a malicious app or you've got a malicious extension, personally speaking, I think the biggest risk is the Chrome extension, because if that's there and you're going to different sites, although it can't interact with other Chrome browsers you've got open, it can interact with that Chrome browser you've got open, and that's the biggest risk as far as I'm concerned. But as far as Android apps, don't think there's such a big risk, but there is still a risk. So I'm not saying that these websites are incorrect about malware, but what I'm saying is the risk is still minute compared to a Microsoft Windows computer or an Apple Mac computer because of the way that the Chromebook is set up. So if you really are concerned about this, then by all means, get some antivirus software, but do not pay for it. Do not pay for the antivirus software. If you are concerned, download a free one. Just go onto the Android App Store and look for free antivirus. AVG, I think, do a free one, and that's pretty good, and I'm sure there's other ones out there. So yes, if you're worried, download an antivirus app from a Play Store, but personally speaking, I don't think there's anything to be concerned about. The main thing, like I says, is just being careful what you download. You know, it's down to you. The only person who can protect yourself is you. As long as you're watching the extensions you're installing and watching the Android apps, you'll be safe on your Chromebook. Okay, and it's that time for Deal of the Week. This is where I look at the best deal as far as I'm concerned for a Chromebook, one in the USA and one in the UK. The first one is the Samsung Galaxy Chromebook. At the moment, you can get it from Best Buy for $699. That's a massive saving of $300. At the same time, you can now get the Samsung Chromebook Galaxy 2, and that is also at $699. However, the difference is the original Samsung has got an amazing quality display, and that was the problem when it was first released. The issue was that amazing display, 4K display and Super AMOLED panel that Samsung used drained the battery like there was no tomorrow, and this caused a real concern. Google and Samsung did try and fix this. I'm not 100% sure how they got on with that. I don't think it was possibly done. All they would have done was lower the specs, and then you've got to ask yourself, why lower the specs? What's the point in buying a Chromebook if you can't use the display that it offers? So the reason why I put this for Deal of the Week for the USA is if you're using a laptop and you're not really interested in using it to go traveling with, and you use it mainly in your home, you're getting a $699 Chromebook with a 4K display, amazing build quality and amazing specs. It comes with 8GB of RAM, an Intel i5 processor and 256GB of storage, and it's not eMMC storage, it's proper decent SSD storage. So I think that's a really good deal. So if you're not too concerned about the issue with the battery life and you still want a good laptop to use at home, that's definitely a deal I'd consider right now. I'll put a link to the Best Buy below. And for a great deal in the UK, I found the Lenovo IdeaPad Flex 5i Chromebook. It's got a 13.3 inch display, it's got an Intel i5 processor, comes with 128GB of storage and 8GB of RAM. The reason why this is Deal of the Week is because it normally retails at £649. You can currently get it for £499 from Currys, and I'll put a link to that below so you can take a look. That's a good saving of £150. You're getting, for under £500, you're getting a medium spec, high spec Chromebook, an Intel i5, 8GB of RAM, 128GB of storage, decent display. So that's a really good bargain. It's very unusual that you'd see a Chromebook with them specs for under £500. And I couldn't resist this one. I know it's only supposed to do one deal for the UK and one deal for the USA, but this deal is really good in the UK, so I'm going to put it in here. And it is the Lenovo IdeaPad Duet Chromebook. At the moment, you can get this from Currys, and again, I'll put a link below in the description, for £299. The good thing is this is the 128GB storage version, not the 64GB storage version, and you get a free pair of JBL noise cancelling headphones. These headphones cost $89.99 at the moment, so you're getting all of that. You're getting the Lenovo IdeaPad Chromebook Duet and these pair of headphones, all for £299. The good thing is as well, as far as the headphones are concerned, I've checked on what Hi-Fi, who I always check when it comes to seeing whether hi-fi or anything to do with audio is going to be good, and they've given it a 4 star, so that's pretty good for the headphones because they don't give away stars freely. Okay, so that's it for the 3rd episode of Chromebook News. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like below and subscribe to the channel for future videos, and thanks for watching.